A Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect and all the brothers pushing this work in sincerity and in truth. This is Brother Thamine from GMS Toronto coming at you with another video. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about the word addiction, which I might name this video demon possession, right? In the form of addiction, something along that line, right? Because yesterday I was meditating, I was doing some research, and this is a thing that's plaguing this society over here in Toronto and across America, right? Babylon the Great, which this is an extension of Babylon the Great, right? The city of Toronto and the outskirts and the neighboring cities and provinces across the country, right? If you go to Vancouver, there's a street called the Hastings, right? East Hastings. That street, I walked on that street because I heard about it like years ago. So when I was in Vancouver, I was doing a job out there, and I went out there, and it's the level of homelessness and people like strung out on drugs and piss all over the place. You walk down the street and it's all piss everywhere, right? So fast forward a couple of years later, right after the pandemic, right? The level of addiction had went up, right? So now you go downtown Toronto, you go in the outskirts of Toronto, it's the same thing, right? And now they call it addiction, right? But that addiction or mental health, that mental health disorder, that's nothing but demonic possession, right? And due to the fact that this place is not a spiritual place, they try to treat everything with their drugs, right? With their pills, and that just doesn't help anyone really, right? Because now that you take these drugs, you're pretty much more dependent on the drugs, and it'll just calm you down for a while. And when you don't take these drugs, then the demons come back, right? So you're not being healed, you're not being cured, because doctors are supposed to cure you of any sicknesses that you have. But due to the fact that this place is not a spiritual place and doctors are not spiritual, they always want to pump you up on drugs and stuff like that. No one's being healed, right? So I hope this video doesn't get like flagged or anything like that, because I'm not trying to give medical advice, right? I am not a doctor, but due to the fact that these things are mentioned in the scriptures, and you'll see that these things were happening in the ancient world when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, right? And this place is about to be out of here. That's why the Lord had let these demons out to possess people, because all those people that you see downtown walking around, talking to themselves, living on the streets, that's demonic possession, okay? And these people have nothing but demons on them, and that's why they're not being healed, okay? And the fact that the drugs, the addiction, the drugs that they're addicted to, right? That is the portal that lets in the demons, right? Even Aleister Crowley tells you that the highest form of witchcraft is when you take drugs, right? What do you call that? The word I'm looking for the drugs is hallucinogens, right? It opens up your mind and your heart, right, to garnish demons, man. Right? So let's go into the word addiction. It says here tendency, inclination, penchant, a less severe sense, now obsolete, a state of being, self-addicted to a habit, right, pursuit, etc., from the Latin addictionum, right, and awarding, delivering up. It goes back to delivering up, right? Pretty much giving your mind over to, right? Delivering your mind over to something, right? Noun of action from past participle, stem of adicere, to deliver, right? award, devote, consecrate, sacrifice. So you sacrifice your mind, you sacrifice yourself over to that impulse, right? Let's go to the second definition. It says you're the sense of compulsion, right, shaking, right, and need to take a drug as a result of prior use of it by the 1906 in reference to opium, because you know what happened with the time of the the Asians, the Moabites, when they were addicted to opium from the Europeans, right? There's an that was another form of demon possession, because I think the Europeans, they knew that once you have your mind altered, then you can come in and just swoop in and take whatever you want, and that's what's happening here in this society. Esau has given drugs over to people, and now Esau is taking whatever he wants, which is what, your freedom, your rights, right? It says here there's an absolute instance from 1799 with reference to tobacco and people that's addicted to cigarettes and now marijuana. Okay, that's all demonic possession. You're giving your mind over to this drug. It says here the adjective, no, Salakia. Where am I? From the Latin, adicere, to say, declare, adjudge, allot, to deliver, right? Award, devote, consecrate, sacrifice. We read that. An awarding, a delivering up, tendency and inclination, penchant, state of being, self addicted. Okay, that's all. I've read those before. So let's get into the verb aspect of the word. To devote or give, to give up to a habit or occupation, right? And that's what an addict is, right? The verb of the word, from the Latin addictus, past participle of adicere, to deliver up, award, yield, make over, sell, right? You sell yourself, you sell your mind. You can't sell your soul because it's not yours, but you know what it means. You know what the term means, right? To give yourself over into something. Properly, give one assent to, right? You get high, right? Ascension. But figuratively, to devote, consecrate, sacrifice, sell out, betray, abandon, right? This is what an addict is, right? He'll betray anyone due to the fact that he's impulsive, he or she is impulsive, and their mind is already given over to the demons, right? This is from the adjective, so like to say, declare, pronounce, solemn. So let's get to yielding. It's a yielding to impulse, and generally a bad one, right? So when you look up the word impulse, let's see what it means. Generally, so they're suddenly strong and unreflective urge to desire or desire to act, right? Um, a driving or motivating force, right? An impetuous, right? Most girls or young person or young people have this impetuous state of mind where they're very impulsive. They just do whatever they want at a whim, right? Whimsical. When a woman's like, oh, I feel like going to Europe today, and she'll just take off and go book a flight and go to Europe. That's very impetuous, right? And that's what happens when you're in drugs, right? You become impetuous, right? You give over to impulse, just like how an animal gives over to its instinct. That is what a person on drug give over to the demons, right? And added impulse to this process of renewal. That's an example, right? A sudden spontaneous inclination or incitement to someone, usually unpremeditated action, right? A propensity or natural tendency, usually other than rational, right? So that's what happens when someone's addicted or has demons on them, right? Says here, these are the synonyms that comes with the word addiction, right? It says a dependency, right? Says here dependence, consequence, result, relation of a conclusion to premise, Salakia, premise or an effect to cause, right? The spelling dependence is rare. Okay, so when you go down to the word habitation or habituation, so like yeah, um, action of forming a habit, right? And there's another one here. It says dry out in drug addiction senses form. You have drugs like cocaine. You go into jonesing, which goes into the uh, the heroin era, where Jake was addicted to heroin, right? Early use of Jones as synonym of heroin, presumably from the proper name, but the connection, if any, is obscure, right? Says here, clean. Says lewd, as in good, clean fun. Institute, from Latin institutus. But anyways, that's what you get from the word addiction, right? So it goes into impulse, right? So what else I did? I looked up the word. I just typed in demonic possession, right? And it says here in possession in which Satan or demons take full possession of a person's body without consent, right? If you ever look at a person who's homeless, right, their mind is given over to whatever that demon wants. The demon wants them to be dirty and living on the street and walking around with carts, with clothes, right? Not shower, not brush their teeth, right? Days without eating. That's all demonic possession. Here, people say it's mental health disorder. Yes, it goes into your mental, it affects your mental, because your mind is given over to that demon or demons, right? The possession usually comes as a result of a person's action or actions that lead to an increased susceptibility to Satan's influence, right? So I jump down here, demon possession, and it says here, demon possession is a term frequently used to translate the Greek term daemonizomai in the New Testament. This term describes a variety of conditions, both physical, right, and emotional, mental, psychological, for which the cause is identified as direct demonic influence, right? The remedy that was used by Yahweh Shai, which is, they call him Jesus, and the early church for such conditions were exorcism. So in this society, you're not going to find anyone being exorcised, because these doctors will just load you up with drugs, right? They don't have they're not spiritual beings, right? The people who are supposed to do that are the men of the Lord. But right now, we haven't given the power to exorcise demons, because the Lord said that we're going to have the power to do that, right? This essay surveys the biblical terminology related to demon possession, from surveying the types of symptoms that are associated with the phenomenon in the New Testament. So you're going to see the same thing that people back then were experiencing, right? They knew that what that was, right? Because demons always comes into your body and your mind, and it put you in a state of being, and then you just act just like how that demon wants you to act. It is an urge on basis of evidence in the Gospels that demon possession can cause a wide range of symptoms. So we're going to get into the symptoms, right? Many of which are virtually indistinguishable from the symptoms associated with normal illnesses, right? I.e., illnesses that are the result of living in a fallen world. So right now we're living in a fallen state, a fallen world, where Esau Edom is about to lose his power, and people are feeling it. And now the demons are pretty much taking over these people's mind, because they're on drugs. And once you start taking drugs, start smoking weed, you give yourself over to demons, right? That's where the addiction comes in. And then you keep going back and forth to take these drugs. And the demons usually come in, and they stay there and they don't leave. So when you see someone has schizophrenia, right? Some people are born with that, but those are demons also. It is suggested that the term, other than demon possession, more accurately describe the broad range, right? And it's broad range because demons can make you do anything, man. This condition that according to the New Testament data can be caused by evil spirits, right? So the biblical terminology related to demon possession, right? The term demon possession is frequently used in the English translation of the New Testament, most notably in the Synoptic Gospel, to render the meaning of the term daemonizomai. In the addition, the parallel between Matthew 8 and 28. So let's see what Matthew 8 and 28 says. And when he came on the other side of the country of the Gadarenes, two demon-possessed men met him, right, and come out of the tombs so fierce that one could pass that. So I can get Matthew 8. That no one can pass that way, right? So we can get Matthew 8 and 28. Reading context. Men met him coming out of the tombs fierce, no one could pass that way. And behold, they cried out. They cried out, "What have you to do with us, O Son of God? You have come here to torment us before time." So what these men were doing, they were living in the tombs, and anyone passed by, they'll harm them, man. So what, don't you see that happening right now? Right? You see that happening right now in this society. People are on the streets laying down. Some people can't pass. They'll curse people out. It's only a matter of time before these homeless people start being like very possessed and start attacking people, right? Now a herd of many pigs were feeding at some distance from them, and the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us away in the herd of pigs," right? And I think this man was cutting himself and all that kind of stuff, right? So he cast out demons into the pigs. And this is Matthew 8 and 16, and even brought him to many that were oppressed by demons. Right? Let's get Matthew 8. And he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick. Could be sick in the mind, could be physically sick, right? But mental health issue that we're having in this society is all linked to demons, because these are the same things that Yahushua was casting out. And this was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah, right? He took our illnesses and bore our diseases, and these are all through demons. Demonic possession. Let me see what else is here. Right, and there's another this is Revelation 18, and he called out with a mighty voice, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling places for demons, right? So now this is literally, man. This is literal, right? Because you're seeing the people are being plagued by all kind of demons. Now this place is fallen. That's the reason why when I read the definition, the biblical definition says when the world is falling, this is what happens, right? People are being plagued, and a haunt for every unclean spirit, and a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt of every unclean and desolate beast, right? And you go to Mark 5 and 2, when Yahushua had stepped out of the boat, immediately in there he met out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. So the same one, I think. No one could bind him. Oh, this is another one, right? He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him with anyone anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains. But he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and the one mountain, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones, right? So do we not see this? We see people bang their heads against doors, against walls, right? He was cutting himself with stones. So in this society, we call those people emos, right? They feel so much pain that the only way to release is to cut themselves. Is either to do it with the on their legs or to do it on their hands. But if you tell them that they're possessed by demons, they're gonna look at you like you have four heads, and that's the case, right? Cutting yourself. You're not supposed to cut yourself. You're not supposed to. That goes back to another god also. I forgot what god it is, but you beat yourself, you cut yourselves in the form of mourning, right? Where am I? And when Yahushua saw, when he saw Yahushua from afar, he ran and fell down before him and cried out with a mighty voice. He said, "What have we to do with me, Yahushua, Son of the Most High? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Right? So you see, um, so it goes into the pigs. That's the same story that I read. These are all examples of demonic possessions. It says here symptoms of demonic possession. Let's get into it. The symptoms associated with demonic possession vary significantly from one exorcism from account to one another. On the one hand, this condition may produce symptoms that are different to distinguish from those of illnesses that are simply the result of living in a fallen world, right? Um, and this is my favorite part. It's a result of living in a fallen world. This world is through, right? Yahushua is about to make his return. Esau is about to make his move. So therefore, he's pretty much having people going through a lot. And then when people from a world coming from a world where they haven't been through anything, and as soon as they go through a little bit, they're gonna start using drugs to numb the pain. And why you use drugs to numb the pain? You're giving yourself over unto demons, right? And that's how you become addicts. That's how you become homeless. That's how you become angry, right? Cutting yourself, committing suicide. These are all demons. Specific accounts to refer to an inability to speak, right? So you go to Matthew 9, as they were going, mute. Okay, so here's one. Matthew 9. So this is another example of demonic possession. A person who cannot speak, that's a demon that's on that person. But if you say to this in this society, you get penalized and people look at you like you have four heads, right? Like you have um six hands. Look like Goro from Mortal Kombat. But they're the ones who doesn't know what's going on, right? Because they're not spiritual. Um, as they were going away, behold, a demon possessed, oppressed man or possessed man, who was mute, and was brought to him. And when the demon, I hate reading in the I don't know if this is the NIV or whatever, but I like the King James version, so I'm kind of having a little bit of problem reading in reading in this version of the Bible. But let's see. And when the demon had been cast out, the mute man spoke, and the crowds marveled, saying, "Never was anything like this seen in Israel." So that's another example of demonic possession, right? Let's get another example of the same one. So that's together with the blindness. Let's see. This is Matthew 12 and 22. Then a demon-possessed or oppressed man who was blind and mute from birth to him, and he healed him, so that the man spoke and saw, and all the people were amazed and said, "Can this be the son of David?" Oh, yes, he was. Well, yes, he is. Right? So that's blindness. That's a man who's not able to speak, right? Dumbness, right? A mute, as accompanied by the intimate seizures and inability to hear, right? So seizures, right? That goes back to demonic possession, because people can actually make themselves seize, right? in the prisons, people can make themselves Caesar up, right? In this world, people can actually do that. When you catch seizures and stuff like that and start foaming from the mouth and all that kind of stuff, that's all demonic possession. Let's see what Mark 9 says in the kingdom of great crowd. And around them, then and scribes arguing with them, and immediately all the crowd that saw him were gently amazed and ran up to him. Same thing that I read. Okay. Um, and the other hand, okay, seizures associated with great suffering. And the other hand, encounters as guardian demonic. Okay, that person was in the tombs. I read that already. Right, it says that the data gathered from the four major synoptic accounts and several minor references that describe the symptoms of demon possession, right, and exorcism should not be viewed as exhaustive in nature, since the summary statements and passages make it clear that exorcism was a regular feature of Yahushua's ministry, and on time, ultimately, the ministry of his disciples. So that's the main thing, is us exorcising demons out of people. Guess what? When we came into this truth, guess what happened? We got exorcised. Did all the demons leave us? No, but the demons that forbid us to get this word, they left, right? And now we're fighting demons to pull us out of the world. So those are demons. They're like, they're strong demons, right? Says here, but people are now in this world, they're being possessed by other demons, demons that torments the mind, right? This ministry was along teaching and preaching and healing. Together made up the four major aspects of Yahushua ministry. Says here, I'm going to drop down to accounts of minor references to demon possession and exorcism demonstrate the symptoms of demon possession can be quite diverse. Exactly. For this reason, it is noteworthy that Yahushua was able to distinguish conditions resulting from the fall of humankind, which were addressed by miracles of healing, from conditions that were caused by direct demonic influence, which required exorcism. The evidence from the summary statements and passages makes this very clear, right? This distinguishing demon possession from the other conditions related to the fall, right? So it's a fall of a human, a fall of a person, which these were Israelites. Okay, now when the scripture, you go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 28, that's also demons. When it tells you the Lord's going to smite you with madness and blindness, right? That's all demons that the Lord's going to put on you, okay? Put on our people. So, where am I? Spirit of making this important determination, when Yahushua quoted Isaiah 61. And that's what Isaiah 61 says. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, anoint me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. And okay, when you go into this word brokenhearted, it's not talking about a heartache where someone so-called cheats on you. Okay, let's get into it. It says they're overwhelmed by grief or disappointment, right? It's not talking about love. Okay, it's you being given over to demonic possession and your mind is broken like a so-called crazy person. Okay, despair, right? Broken heart, not no boyfriend and girlfriend garbage. Okay, the Lord didn't come to fucking heal that. He came to heal Israelites that were crazy in the mind. Okay, madness, who's mad, to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prisons to those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all who mourn. And who's this referring to? The Israelites, right? So the Lord literally said he's going to put the spirit on us to heal the disciples, to heal we're given power, man. So the men of the Lord that you see back in this time, they're gonna be able to heal people, It's only a matter of time before the Lord does this. Okay? Because now we're living in the time of a fallen world, where you see Esau, Edom is falling, and all his people around, and all our people around, because they've taken up the same mindset this Edomite. So now they're all going through the same kind of demonic possession, and demons are things that jump from people to people, right? So don't get it fooled. This thing is highly contagious, right? And if the Lord dealing with you, you're not gonna be affected by these things, because even when you go into when you see those movies, when you see these priests trying to like exorcise demons from a person, sometimes the demon jump on the damn priests. They're not strong enough. And there's also examples of this in the scriptures. Then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority all over all devils, right? And to cure diseases. So diseases are demonic possessions, right? And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick, right? So all the disciples are given this power to do that, to heal people and to cast out demons and to cut off diseases, man, to cure diseases. That's how you know these doctors ain't shit. Okay? These doctors don't heal you. They just give you drugs to make you dependent on the drugs so they can make more money. They don't give a damn about people in this society, right? But the true men of the Lord, they're going to be the one that's going to heal people from all these demonic possessions. And that's all it is, right? Mental health disabilities and all that stuff. That's demonic possession, okay? I don't know how much I can stress that, but this whole mental health is being pushed, and they're not really coming to the full understanding of what's really happening to these people, right? That's why they're not being cured. They're not being healed, because they need to be exorcised. Whatever is inside of them, the entity that's inside of them, is supposed to be cast out. Okay. Um. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the scripture I'm looking for? It's in my mind right now. The word is baptism. And the scripture says you got to be baptized. Baptism. Okay, baptism is hearing of the word. Let's see what comes up. Let me see, Acts 19:5. It says, "And hearing this, you were baptized in the name of Yahweh Shai." Okay, so I'm hearing the word. Let me see. Shall we see? We'll look at baptism, salvation. Mark 16. He who believes his baptism, not that one. What's the word? What's the scripture I'm looking for? I'll just bring this out too by taking heed to his word. I could end the video now, but I want to bring out some more scriptures. This is Psalms 119. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way, by taking heed thereto according to thy word. Right? With my whole heart have I sought thee. Oh, let me not wander from the commandments. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. So I bring this out to say, whenever a young man, take heed to the Lord's word, all these demons that have been on us for years, being born in this society, you're automatically given over to demons, right? That's why some of us, we're pretty much, what's the word I'm looking for? Stubborn, right? Stubbornness goes back to demonic possession. What else goes back over to demonic possession? All the anger that Jake be feeling, right? killing your brother, murdering your brother for no reason. That's all demonic possession, right? There's so many examples, man. Um, the hatred for your own brother, the hatred, the disrespect for your parents, that's all demonic possession. And once you come into the word, all those things goes away. It takes time, right? But all these things are demonic possession, and we're all cured from that, right? So the Lord is going to give us His men, right? The men that who He wants to heal people, to heal the sick, right? To heal the sick, to heal the sick. Um, all the things that He did, right? Matthew 10 and 8 says here, He healed the sick, cleansed the leper, raised the dead, cast out devils, right? And that's the main thing of this. That's the main focal point of this story. These are all examples of demonic possession: being sick, being a leper, right? Losing your complexion, raise the dead, whether it be um, a physical dead or the spiritual dead, mainly the spiritual dead. That's what we're out here. Cast out devils, freely ye have received, freely give. And every day we do these things. Provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. Right? So the main part I'm focusing on is heal the sick, clean the leper, raise the dead, cast out the devils. Right? Freely you receive, freely give. So that's our mission. The Lord's going to put that spirit on us to do these things, because now in this society we're seeing demons on every side, man. I don't live um, downtown or anything. I'm on the outskirts, okay? And all you see here outside now, you're seeing people behind my fucking window over on the side in the bushes there with in tents. Not really a tent, but there's a small little canopy with bushes where you can just sit down and chill. I used to want to go in there and just read, man, but this now you have homeless people in there, right? And they're bringing all their clothes and dropping shit. I can't go there and sit anymore. So I'll say shalom, man.